There you go. Picks and bans for game number 1. NJE Empire versus the Jin Air Green Wings. And we'll see what the bans look like here. Again, you know, we're on 5.12 today. Things have changed. Echo's probably not going to be seen anymore. Nidalee and Kalista bans, not too surprising. Again, Chaser played a great Nidalee, and she's only, that much stronger now with Runeglaive. Annie bans against Che also pretty expected. Che is a monster on Annie right now. And the Grog is banned against Watch, too, so avoiding that first pick for Najin.
And there's the Rek'Sai.
Yep.
So these are pretty expected bans from Najin. This is usually what people like to ban out against Jin Air. And they're targeting Chaser because he cannot be allowed to run amok like he did in their last series. Alistar is banned also, so the Evelynn will be first picked. Now, in the last series too, of course, we've seen a lot of changes to Ryze since then, but basically Jin Air kind of baited Najin into taking Ryze both games and then just killed Duke over and over and over again. It was pretty one-sided, so they're going to grab the Eve. Now, this is going to put Chaser maybe in an uncomfortable position. No Cassiopeia ban so far, and will Kuzan go for the early Victor pick?
Maybe. I mean, if they, with no Cassiopeia bans, a Victor pick would be, I mean, it's safe-ish, but you'd think they'd want to take the Cassiopeia away first? Or maybe try to counter-pick it more.
I think maybe you take the Ezreal right here, because if we think back to Goong's history, Goong was pretty darn good on Nidalee mid back in the day, and he is good at hitting long-range skill shots, also played Xerath. So,
you know, the other thing, though, too, is that Korea's never been, like, the fastest region at picking up new powerful things. So, I mean, they've gotten quicker over the time we've casted this league, but they still seem to take a while sometimes.
I don't know. I think we're going to see it come out today. It's so powerful if you start to ramp up that you do need to deal with that potential aspect of having it in the game. Now, The Nautilus pick here is a bit interesting, but Pure has overwhelmingly been picking Nautilus this season.
Yeah, well, he's not going to get it this time around. Victor locked in for Goong, and it looks like they're going to take the Maokai as well for Duke.
Interesting. Duke shying away from an early Rumble pick. Goong going back to the Victor.
Yeah.
Champion he played versus KT that he was... I mean... To be fair to Goong, he was about the only one doing well when he played Victor in the first game against KT. He actually had a fine individual performance on that champion. It just, the rest of his team sort of fell apart.
Yeah, he suffers from being shut down pretty hard by the other team sometimes. And Kuzan, you know, most of his games, and when I say most, I will say 2 of his games so far has been on Azir, so not a big surprise for him to pick that up. But maybe a little bit surprising into the Victor, though, huh?
So there we go. Yeah, the Azir into the Victor. I mean, the Azir should be fine, but the Lee Sin pick for Chaser, of course, there were 3 jungle bans this game, so we're getting pretty deep into the pool right now.
Runeglaive, Lee Sin. Just chunk him down with those Qs.
Oh, God.
Boom. Figured it out. Strategy analyzed.
So OQ maybe taking the Lucian just for the lane dominance. We don't know where that Nautilus is going yet. It could very well be a top Nautilus. Remember, Trace was the one who introduced top Nautilus to the professional scene.
Yeah, we're getting pretty deep in the support picks as well, too. I feel like Thresh should be fine for Pure, and, maybe the Kennen actually was hovering over the Bard for quite a while, but it's going to be the support Kennen. I suppose technically it could be support Maokai, but I'd imagine it's going to be the Kennen here.
Yeah, there will be. And this is just a very lane-dominant lane, looking for some early harass. And that's how Najin wins games. They kind of get OQ rolling, and we've seen them pick for lane matchups a lot, actually, and then have OQ just get completely out of control and very fed if Watch can get in there and get the ganks.
Well, OQ is one of the few AD carriers to play the Lucian still as well, and if he plays it aggressively, he can certainly get a little bit of momentum going for his team.
Trace maybe going back to the Rumble. I mean, he's played pretty much Rumble and Maokai almost exclusively this season. Yes, he played Hecarim in his last game against CJ, but he missed a lot of ults, and he wasn't looking too great on that champion. So Trace's champion pool is very small right now, but he gets away with it because Chaser has to have so many bans levied against him. You just can't let Chaser have a lot of these champions. So when you're trying to deal with that, it does make things a bit more difficult.
It's kind of like the Bang getting to play Kalista effect, you know? There's just so many other bans on the team that some of those power picks sneak through consistently.
Yes, indeed. Well, taking a look at these team compositions, Jin Air, not the best engaged, but they're very good at kiting in this game. Very good at kiting with the Sivir. But they're going to have to rely on like an insect kick or an equalizer or something like that if they want to engage, or Kuzan going in. Azir can be used as primary engage.
It seems like kiting is what you'd want to do against a clearly more aggressive Najin team. I mean, with OQ and Pure playing the bot lane that they are, I mean, you want to try to back off and not fight it head-to-head right away.
Yeah, we'll see what they could do. Expect to see a lane swap probably from Jin Air here. I wouldn't want to be in that lane versus the Lucian and the Kennen on the Sivir. Najin has great engage, very well-rounded team composition. Should have better scaling also. Duke has a very good chance just to get unkillable.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens here. Jin Air coming in with the momentum in this head-to-head anyway. We'll see if they can keep it up with a win in Game 1. It's time to get in the game and find out. And welcome to Summoner's Rift. Welcome to patch 5.12, Najin Empire versus the Jin Air Greenwings here on Champion Summer. I'm not impressed by the cheer from the Najin fans. Yeah, Jin Air okay too. People seem a little bit tired, a little bit fatigued. It's kind of a rainy day. It's maybe a little bit more dismal. I feel fine, but I can't speak for all the fans, I guess.
Yeah, I guess the fans don't. Jeez.
Yeah.
Get it together, fans.
I don't know. Yeah, come on, fans. Where's your hype?
Where's your fanaticism?
If only they could hear us, they would be so hyped then. They'd be like jumping out of the chairs. They'd be throwing chairs. Not at us, because we're great, but maybe at each other, like a mosh pit with chairs.
That sounds incredibly dangerous, Noah.
Well, these chairs are kind of like the light plastic ones, you know?
That's true.
So they're not... You could probably hit somebody with it and it wouldn't be too bad.
I'll experiment on you later.
No way, man. I'll dodge those chairs like Neo.
You won't see it coming. I'm going to sucker punch you with the chair.
I'm an SKT fan, man. We can dodge all the chairs. The KT fans look at us and like, wow, you move like Faker does. Like, yeah. Because we watch them all the time. She's a Najin fan.
She is.
And she has a curler in her hair.
She's curling her bangs.
Oh.
New fashion statement, perhaps, in Korea.
Oh.
Just leave the curlers in.
Maybe. Why not, you know? I've seen that on like sitcoms from time to time, but not in real life before.
Okay, so it's like pretty standard starts here. We're going to get standard lanes after no deep wards go in. So Pilot, I'm curious to see his Sivir. We've seen it in the past, but when you have somebody like Captain Jack, who is such a dominant Sivir player, a little curious to put Pilot in on this champion. Now, they are going to take the Gromp, so faster level 2 for the Jin Air duo lane.
Yeah, OQ and Pure just kind of sitting in lane a little bit earlier, though, to get some decent positioning, and already some nice poke from OQ coming out onto Pilot.
This is a really brutal lane to deal with.
Yeah, no kidding.
They're trying to take just a little bit of an advantage so they wouldn't get all in right at level 2, but they just have to back off, so the Gromp really not doing a whole lot of work for them.
I was wondering about that when I saw it, because with Pure and OQ getting the lane so fast, I mean, well, you're just going to see what we just saw. You're just going to get zoned. Very hard and very fast.
Now, they have to be careful, though, as they push forward, especially Chaser. You never know when like a Lee Sin's going to do a level 2 gank these days.
That's true.
Taking a look at our win rates, Watch 8-7 on Eve, 7-7 for Chaser. So Chaser hasn't played the Lee Sin in quite a while, though.
Yeah, and Watch has played Eve for probably the majority of his games this season.
Yeah, we take a look at the kill contribution percentage there. Chaser is #1 in this league and has been the entire season for kill contribution. So he is the major player on his team that Jin Air really revolves around.
Well, he was really high in the spring season as well, too.
Yeah, he's a very good jungler.
He's a good team player.
So, yeah, it looks like he's just going to take the blue buff, so nothing too exciting yet. As we see Evelyn going back for the quick recall, and then going with the Stalker's Blade.
Yeah, okay. Huh. And we'll see if Watch decides to make any plays early. Ooh, speaking of early plays,
this
Goong,
could be dangerous. Goong.
He might have to burn a summoner here. He's already at about 3/4 health. He's going to heal up a little bit, but Chase is going to come in before that happens. There we go, going in on the ward. He lands the Q. But Goong backs away without having to burn any summoners. Watch was right there, too, it looks like.
Yeah, you see how this Azir-Victor matchup goes. Usually the Azir has a pretty big poke advantage on the Victor, and so Victor has a tendency to fall behind in terms of CS during the laning phase. Now, of course, his burst potential extremely high all the same in the late game. Kuzan, dodge a death ray right there. Watch, trying to get in. Maybe force something out of Kuzan.
I think they're going to try it. Yeah, there we go. Kuzan having to get out. Took a lot of damage, but didn't need to burn any summoners because of Z.
Yeah, Soul has a pot running too, so
yep.
Nice just little pressure relief there from Watch.
True enough.
And yeah, this Lee Sin just not able to find that angle on the mid lane quite yet. Looks like Pilot starting to balance things out a little bit, even though he has lost a few CS to the turret. So OQ and Pure going into that very dominant laning phase that we know them for. That is the Najin specialty. When we think about Najin, I mean, Duke and OQ have very good laning phases. The problem with Najin is putting it all together to actually get a win. Their individual talent isn't in question. Their teamwork, however, is a bit shaky.
Yeah. Oh, Chaser coming down for a lane gank here in bot lane. Let's see if he's able to set anything up. I don't know. I was going to say, if Shay can land
out of the brush, too.
Yeah, if Shay can land a dredge line, maybe they can do it. But he tried, he missed, and now Watch coming up to the top lane here.
Yeah, look how safely Trace is playing this, though. He knows that Chaser was just seen in the bottom side, and now he's just going to back off and try and CS with his E. Watch still taking a look here, wants to come around and see if there are any Krugs to be had, but Watch will leave Krugless.
Krugless. Oh, that's the worst feeling ever. No Krugs. No Krugs at all.
Grompless, I think, is worse.
Grompless. It sounds like it totally should be a term for something else, you know? He was quite the Grompless individual. If we use it enough, it'll be in the dictionary in like a year or two. I was saying something like, if OQ wins and I didn't get to read the last of it. Or if Najin wins, OQ, blah, blah, blah. That's all you need to know.
Great translating.
Thank you. Perfect. I am done learning Korean. I have conquered that language.
Ooh, missed the cannon. This CS differential's really getting pretty severe at this point, and Chaser just hasn't found that angle yet. He's got to get something done here on this Lee Sin, or the Evelyn's just going to be much more useful in the late game unless Chaser wants to show off some pretty amazing Lee Sin mechanics to set up picks.
Now we'll see. Looks like we might see a bit of a roam from Pure. Looks like they're trying to set up a dragon, maybe.
You can see the pink wards on either side of the river for Kuzan because he wants to play this lane more aggressively, but Watch has been hovering around mid lane so much that Kuzan hasn't really been able to push the advantage as much as he wants to.
Yeah.
Now look at the ward in the mid lane also. Kuzan is known to roam, and he will tower dive you in a different lane on Azir. We've seen it happen before, so that ward is actually very good against Jin because then now they know if Kuzan is actually just backing off the minion wave to hide in the fog of war for a second or whether he's trying to roam.
Right.
So I really like that. That's just a very Kuzan-specific ward because with most players, you would not put a ward in the lane that early, but I think against Kuzan, it's smart.
Well, Najin's done their homework for sure. I wonder if we're going to see like a level 6 all-in in bot lane. I feel like if you could get somebody stuck on the Slicing Maelstrom with the culling on top of it too, that'd be pretty good.
Yeah, and the Azir has control over that lane. Pushing forward right now, and so that's going to open up those roaming opportunities. Goong is likely going to be a little bit later.
Should be. Well, Chaser.
More pink wards, just replacing the one that was just killed. So they have extremely good information if Watch is trying to get around for a flank onto Kuzan. It's just not going to happen.
I think people are getting really good at handling Watch's Evelyn. I mean, it was never super difficult to handle, but people are really playing around it now.
Watch is also a very predictable jungler. That's Watch's main problem is that there's not a lot of variance in his play, and that's why junglers who are smarter like Chaser are so regularly able to abuse his pathing and make sure there are big advantages and that he gets held down.
Yeah. I think with all the Evelyn picks, he'd change his ID to don't watch, though.
Yeah.
You can't really watch him.
He just wants to see you to watch him while he's making the big plays.
That's right. He only wants you to see the big plays. Everything else, don't pay attention, because he does the same thing every game anyway, so it gets kind of boring. Looks like that pink ward is going to get cleared out. They do see Pure and Watch coming in, though. So gank prevented. Now, last time these teams played, Jin Air just kind of won via some early kills and then just snowballing those. I mean, it was really just fighting from Jin Air that did the trick. But nothing too early this time around.
Well, and the fact that Captain Jack got Callista in one of those games.
That tends to help a little bit.
Went nuts on it. So, yeah, there were a lot of factors, but Jin Air, yes, those victories were incredibly clean. Now, looking at Jin Air recently, of course, again, in the CJ matches, they nearly won both of those games. And, in fact, probably almost certainly should have won game one. Oh, here we go.
Flash dredge line did not happen. Gets the ult onto Gung, though. Kuzan taking a ton of damage, though, in the meantime. Can't really follow that up.
Yeah, not hitting the hook. Pure there just to make sure there isn't a re-engage that he needs to stick around. So they waited right until Che hit level 6 before attempting to make that play. But at the same time, Najin gets a lot of deep wards into Jin Air's jungle. So, Watch.
Oh, Watch gets caught. Kuzan bends the soldier around to get away because Gung was following up, and Kuzan had already lost a little bit of health. Gung still has his ultimate, or had his ultimate too, so would have been able to do quite a bit of burst. I'm actually a little bit surprised he didn't use his ultimate in that little engage in the mid lane. I think he was level 6. I think he had just hit it at that point. Could be wrong, though. Well, not the best culling in the world, but they do get some decent damage in onto Che.
Yeah, the big story here is the insane CS difference that has opened up in this bottom lane of 35. I mean, Pilot is just having a really tough time, and I really like it when Najin plays this way, because I think this is the way that Najin is best able to win games. Just play the lane strength. Why not? That's what you're good at, Kuzan. Getting a little bit low from the Chaos Storm, but doesn't have to use Flash.
Yeah, Gung still has his down for quite a while now. Oh, OQ getting really aggressive. Dashes in, but takes a lot of damage from Pilot at the same time.
But look at how good OQ and Pure are at forcing Pilot to lose creeps to the tower. They harass at the right time, so he can't get those last hits. They can't freeze the wave. It's just very solid laning performance. Yeah,
and this is what we've come to expect from OQ and Pure over the course of the season, especially OQ. And the fact that OQ's cleaned up his late game, too, I mean, he's been having a pretty good season overall.
He's having a great season.
It's been the other parts of Najin that have been kind of struggling. And like you said, there's a lot of players on this team, and I feel like Jin Air kind of has the same problem, too. We were talking about this, where there's a lot of individually strong players, but they just don't seem to mesh terribly well together.
I think Najin's problem is that they don't have great shot calling, and I think Jin Air's problem is that while the individual parts are all very good, there's something wrong with the synergy with the team and the fact that they don't really have a player that has stepped up to be a playmaker besides either Captain Jack or Kuzan. And Chaser, of course. You know, they need somebody else besides Chaser who is a bit more reliable to actually make the flashy plays to win them games.
It looks like we might have some action around Dragon here, but mostly just ward clearing by Jin Air. They missed the blue in their jungle, though. So Najin has a good idea of where everyone is. And will we maybe see a Dragon attempt finally from one of these teams? This has been a very long laning phase, it feels like. Oh, Watch spots Chaser.
I really don't want to go in on this. Watch still opting for the Warrior Enchant here on the Evelynn.
Yep.
Not going for that Rune Glaive in this particular instance. I think the Warrior might still be a better choice overall on Evelynn.
Chaser going for Cinderhulk for his enchant, actually.
You know how much I love Cinderhulk Lee Sin.
I know it's your favorite.
In this case,
by favorite, I mean you hate it.
They do actually need another tanky member as part of the front line, especially since Sivir is pretty low range. So it could be justified within this particular composition, I feel. It's like Trace is going for Fast Abyssal Scepter. Also has the Merc Tread, so really conservative Rumble build. He's also behind in terms of CS. So we do have like that 1K gold advantage that's just been built off of CS leads, really.
Yeah.
From Najin in the top of the bottom lane.
And nearly 40 up in that bot lane for OQ. And Goong has been able to equalize. He was behind, but he's brought back the CS and now takes a little bit of a lead himself.
Jin has to regain control of this bottom side. The fact that this CS lead has been allowed to develop, and certainly Watch and Pure have been very good about warding up the river and making sure that the ganks can't come in. You have to be able to get in there at some point in time and start to turn that around. Here we go.
Whoa!
Boom.
Nice move from Kuzan right into the clutches of Chaser. Misses the Q though, and Goong might be able to get out of this one with a kill. There's the chilling smite. He flashes over the wall anyway. And Kuzan very low health. Q lands. Chaser comes in. Teleport's coming down. Equalizer used. First blood goes to Chaser. Kuzan gets out of the fight, but now Najin looking for some revenge. Not going to find it though. Really
Great
nice play
setup.
from Kuzan, man.
Really good setup from Kuzan right there on the Azir. Unfortunately, Chaser did miss a skill shot, so it wasn't as clean and actually got a lot more dangerous as a result of not hitting that Q.
Yeah.
But he did eventually manage to get it. Had to burn a flash more than he would have liked to. Yes, very interesting situation, and the setup was very good, and that first blood coming through is going to be useful. Unfortunately for Jin, Kuzan did not pick it up. Instead, it went over to Chaser, but that's going to help clear up a little bit of this gold deficit.
Such a clean engage by Kuzan there, too. That was
Chaser,
pretty impressive.
Chaser also getting there first and not using teleport. He just walked down the river as soon as that went on to use the equalizer. So the fact is they now have TP advantage, and Trace was so neutralized in the games against CJ. He just looked like he was on a different page than the rest of his team. So the fact that he got there at the right timing is actually a big, big point in his favor compared to his last match. Najin can't go after this dragon without the TP. I don't know why they'd be making a play right here. They may just be trying to bait it, and there's the check. He's going to find Pure.
Seems fairly dangerous. I suppose they may be thinking they want to try it before Trace's equalizer comes up, but it comes up like now, so the window of opportunity for that is closed.
Yeah, they thought maybe they could make a pick with a face check, force a face check while Sivir was gone, because there was a threat for that dragon, but Jin just approaches it cautiously, shoots the Q, and through the brush, and gives them the information they need, and now they're able just to walk in and clear. Oh, Bloodthirster first onto Sivir. That is not ideal in terms of damage. That is how threatened Pilot is in this game, but there's not going to be a lot of damage coming out of that Sivir for quite some time now.
Yeah, no kidding.
So that's going to leave the damage has to be done by Rumble and Azir. And that's also going to make the Aegis much more efficient with Sivir's lower damage, because you're going to cancel out a lot of the AP damage with that. So that is bad, and Pilot really struggling, as we thought he might. I mean, Pilot is not doing well in this lane, but a large part of that is this ridiculous matchup he has to play into.
That's true. It still is a little bit surprising to see Pilot instead of Captain Jack, but maybe they'll switch back into him for the second game if this goes poorly. I mean, Jin still looking fine. They've caught up in gold more or less. And right now, at least, they have the vision around Dragon, so maybe they can take one of those in the near future.
Well, they have to get some pressure down onto this tower. Here we go. They're actually just going after OQ.
Yeah, ult onto OQ finally catches up. Oh, nice dredge line, max range from Che, and they're going to get the kill. Pilot picks that one up. Great play from Che there to set that one up for his AD carry, and that's going to lead into an immediate dragon for Jin, and not a lot Najin can do about it. Watch lurking. They may try to make a play here on Pilot.
I mean, those were some great Nautilus mechanics. Pilot.
There's the ult. Yep, Pilot in a lot of trouble. Slicing Maelstrom comes in. Great answer from Najin. They're going to lose the dragon, but at least they get something in the bot lane.
Yeah, you have to be so cautious about that, especially since they knew Pure was going to be coming back.
Yeah.
So they get the dragon, but both AD carries really mispositioned without the supports around and fell prey to some pretty easy all-ins, actually.
Yeah. Well, that Kennen certainly doing work, at least in terms of getting a bit of revenge anyway.
Yeah, Trace also uses Equalizer just to clear a wave during that engagement. Looks like in the top side, didn't actually have to TP down. So Jin may just not even use this TP timing window that they've been given.
Well, I wonder if maybe they can set up a play in bot lane or something like that.
you'd think that's what they would do, right? Given the current state of affairs down there. But Jin Air just, because they've been so routinely pushed up in the bottom lane, you know, there hasn't been a lot of free time for Che to get out into the river to clear wards alongside Chaser, and it's too dangerous for Chaser to go down there alone to reclaim the vision.
And Najin's warding for OQ and Pure has been really very good at keeping them safe.
Yeah, and that's a big reason why OQ and Pure have been able to play so aggressively and get that big CS advantage that they've managed to acquire. So Najin playing around their bottom lane very intelligently in this game.
Yeah, it helps, because, I mean, we saw just a moment ago how vulnerable OQ can be, you know, just how Jin Air, if they find the opportunities, can get kills down there if they want to.
Well, that's if OQ is way too far out in lane while Pure is backing. I mean, that's just, that was silly.
That's an opportunity that happens once in a while on Najin. You know, maybe not as often this season, but it has been known to occur rather regularly before.
Yes, indeed. OQ playing recklessly is not something that Najin is particularly surprised by, I can imagine.
It's been a while since we've had an OQ moment. There's an ult onto OQ again. Gets caught. Slicing Maelstrom activated to try to prevent some damage. Trace is right there. Teleports down. They're making their play. They get it. OQ gets taken out. Meanwhile, watch very low. So everybody from Jin Air down the bot lane. That's 2 kills for them, 3 kills for them, including a double for Trace. And Duke on the run as well. Uses TP to come down. And he'll be able to live with that ultimate. Jin Air doesn't want to dive it. Well, maybe they do.
They keep just pushing forward. They have Sivir, they have Azir. That turret's going to go down extremely fast.
There's the play.
Jin Air set up that play extremely well. Trace, great teleport today. He has been in the right place at the right time. Looks like he's shaken off a lot of the problems that we saw him have against CJ. But Duke late on the TP, and that's really problematic because Trace was there so early. And look at the setup, too. They set it up so beautifully. Kuzan had the mid lane control. They finally had the opportunity to get him to roam into the bottom side, and they make a 5-man play, and Goong's just simply not there, and Duke is there too late.
Yeah.
So, really good play. OQ was trying to back, by the way. He was just using the culling so he could get back to base.
This is starting to look a little bit like how Jin Air beat Najin last time, too. Just getting those kills and then kind of starting to snowball things. And it seems like once the bottom lane turret goes down, you know, once Najin can kind of, or once Jin Air rather, kind of regains control of their bottom jungle, that good warding that Najin had earlier is going to start to fall apart.
Well, look at what Jin Air did off of that. Look how many wards they got in the bottom side.
Exactly.
They finally reclaimed control of this side of the map. And that was Najin's primary advantage in this game, and it has just disappeared. Najin now trying to make a final push onto this turret using about 4 people. They're probably going to get it. So they just brute force it by sending a bunch of people there. I don't think the Azir should have gone down there. I think Kuzan should have just stayed in the mid lane and put some damage down onto the mid lane turret and just had piloted Che back off. Because that turret was so low anyway that Kuzan was just kind of wandering around, not doing much, when he could have definitely got a good amount of damage onto the mid turret.
Right. Well, Trace able to get some damage down onto this top lane turret finally. It's not a ton, but it's something anyway. And meanwhile, that CS lead down in bot lane is still pretty high. I suppose the OQ might get some time to catch up.
Pilot has caught up, though, because of his kills and assists. That's,
more or less.
Yeah, that is a big, big factor, and that got him back into this game.
He's got the static Shiv now as well, too. So, again, not like a ton of damage coming out for the Sivir, but she's got the pushing power, and she's got the survivability, at least.
And she also doesn't have to build armor penetration right away.
Yeah.
She can build a Blade or an Infinity Edge next and be totally fine, because the Last Whisper not going to be a major factor for a while. Duke is probably going to finish off a major MR item, given the damage output on Jin Air.
You'd think so. I mean, he's got the Glacial Shroud right now, but would you think he's just going to go for Spirit Visage first?
Yes, probably, I would say. Spirit Visage or Banshee's Veil. We'll see what he thinks is going to be the better option.
Yeah.
Still no sign of an Aegis on Najin. Looks like they want to engage with a Randuin's instead, but that is bold.
Yeah.
Especially since Trace already has so much flat magic penetration.
Well, and Chaser's not going Warrior or anything, too, so it's not like you need to worry about Lee Sin's damage.
No, definitely not. I really think that the lack of an Aegis on Watch is going to be quite harmful in this game, especially after Trace got all those kills in the bottom side. So we're going to set up for another Dragon right now.
Yep.
Jin Air should have a pretty significant advantage going into this.
Yeah, they really seem to. Able to clear some wards, get a few of their own down as well, too. There are a lot of wards in the jungle, though, of Jin Air right now from Najin. But not immediately by the Dragon Pit, though. Oh, here we might have a bit of engage. No, just claiming that Rift Scuttler. I believe Jin Air got it. Yeah, they did. Pretty sure. Yep, they did. And they're going to activate the Dragon. So Najin going to look for that engage, but Trace coming in for the flank. He could lay down a really nice equalizer if Najin tries anything here.
This is the perfect situation for Jin Air. They want priority over the objectives.
Grab it. Oh, Dredgeline onto Duke, and here we go. Equalizer boxes in Najin. They're going to turn right on Jin Air, though. Not afraid. Pure gets kicked out, slicing. Maelstrom doesn't do a lot. And there's the Emperor's Divide pushing everybody into the Flame Spitter from Trace. A little bit low health, though, so he's going to back off. And Jin Air taking a loss on their side with Shay getting taken out, not getting any kills, but they did get the Dragon, and they should be able to push this mid lane a little bit, so not bad overall.
Jin Air really can't play that competition in this fashion. Yes, it was a good hook from Nautilus, but you want to kite. Generally with the comp like this, you don't want to engage right there because Najin has so many options. Now, Trace tried to cut them off with the equalizer and just prevent a retreat up the ramp.
Yeah.
But it doesn't do any damage, and they need him to do damage because he has all the kills. So they get some damage down. Pure does a great job of zoning out the team, as well as Duke. And the flank from the Rumble, that's not a thing that works. I mean, Rumble flanking, pretty ineffective. Kuzan also decides not to go all in. I think that he definitely probably should have tried to go further in instead of just pushing people away with his ultimate. So a bit of a misplay there, I think, from Jin Air in terms of how they were going to play out that team fight. It would have been much more effective if Trace was either with the rest of his team or if Shay just hadn't engaged. Just, you got the Dragon, just go ahead and kite it out or retreat to the mid lane. You don't have to fight that.
I kind of thought the equalizer was going to kind of come down in the middle of the Najin team to say, all right, either half of you have to come over this to engage or the other half of you have to escape over it to get away, and maybe they can get a couple picks with chasing there. But
yeah, it wasn't the best decision for the equalizer. I know what Trace was thinking when he tried to do that, that he just wanted to cut off the escape route. But he's because Sivir isn't doing damage yet, he has to do damage with the equalizer. It is necessary because he's the one who's fed.
Yeah. Either way, doesn't work out bad for Jin Air. They still got the Dragon. And they can give up a kill to Najin. They got a lot of pressure in the mid lane as well, too, out of that. We'll see what happens next, though.
Yeah. Kuzan, just take a look at the blue buff right here. Che,
here we go. Teleport's coming in. Alt used by Watch. They're going to try to chase down Chaser. Che has a flash to get away. Emperor's Divide used for the disengaged. Trace teleport in. Oh, they got Che again. Goong managed to help Duke pick him off, it looks like.
Yeah, nice teleport. They forced a lot of summoners in exchange for just the TP and the Righteous Glory. Now, they're not going to get an objective for it, but they also got Trace's TP, who is just reactively TPing to the mid lane. So, got to be careful. Che caught out a little bit, playing perhaps a bit too aggressively, and now they're going to lose a turret. So Najin doing a great job of capitalizing on the pick they managed to find.
Yeah, watching Pierre can kind of zone for OQ while he takes that out. And Najin really striking back, taking a gold lead, taking a turret lead. And Goong being very aggressive in the mid lane at the same time, which kind of keeps Kuzan from getting the opportunity to roam.
Yeah, and that's going to be pretty big here. Kuzan also starting to lose some of these trades with the Victor as he gets more and more AP. We saw his damage onto Che, and more wards need to come down for Jin Air. Jin Air, really interestingly, now what Jin Air normally does is get like 4 warding totems and upgrade them, right? That's been like the Jin Air style this season that we saw against CJ, and basically they just put so many wards down that you can't clear them all. And because Jin Air is a team that likes to kite, they like to bring you and draw you into them, and what they're really good at is warding and warding their flanks. Now, in this game, we don't see that coming in from Jin Air. That's been a big part of their success, and going for so many sweepers is very uncharacteristic of them.
Yeah, well, we'll see if they're able to maybe get enough vision later on to, or enough maybe map control, I should say, to switch over and start to ward again. I wonder.
I think it's also just a difference between GBM and Kuzan's play styles. Because GBM is definitely one of the few mid laners who really likes to go for that upgraded warding totem. But it's resulted in fewer than normal Jin Air wards on the map this game.
Yeah. Looks like Pilot might be going for the Last Whisper here. Is there really any armor on the other side, though? Not a lot. Do you think it's maybe just for the IE instead? It's going to be a long time before
it's going to be a Last Whisper. I think it should be an IE. I think that is the better choice, but that is not the choice the Pilot is making. In terms of the immediate benefit, IE would be substantially... Well, Frozen Heart was just completed.
Oh, okay.
Tough call. It was just finished, though.
Well,
Still,
we'll
Pilot really not going to be doing a whole heck of a lot of damage.
And that makes it too bad, too, that the some of the kills have gone onto Chaser and not onto Kuzan. He hasn't been able to quite power up as much. I guess he did just get his death cap, so he's got a decent amount of damage. Still no Aegis on the other side for Najin, so they are still going to take a lot of damage from Azir.
That equalizer is really going to hurt if it hits the back line.
Well, people get stuck on the equalizer with Sand Soldiers running them through.
There's so much magic penetration on Trace right now. Basically, his spells are going to do like true damage to people. That's really, really scary for OQ and Pure in particular.
Well, we'll see what happens as this third dragon comes up here.
I mean, Jin Air has to get priority over this. They need to be at the dragon first so that they can just force the engagement from Najin.
Well, they're not. Jin Air coming in now. Can they re-engage that dragon going down very fast?
They can't really engage right here is the problem.
Yep. Zoning with gravity. They do take the... Najin does take the dragon. Jin Air pops the Silver Ultimate, but not really finding an opportunity. It looks like they still want to fight. They've got Najin kind of bottled up, but they're going to back away. Culling used. OQ trying to take a chunk out of Kuzan, which he does. Wow, Duke going way in, and here comes the slicing Maelstrom as well. Equalizer comes down to sort of split up Najin a little bit. Trace manages to make it up, or make it out. There's some knockups there. Kuzan manages to zone out OQ, but Goon coming over the wall gets the kill onto Kuzan. Chaser comes in, has to escape with the safeguard, but Watch is going to flash to try to get him with the hate spikes. Duke coming in for the kill. So tanky, he's going to be just fine, and Najin really responding well to that kind of awkward engage from Jin Air. I suppose Najin was one that engaged initially.
Trace recalled and then came back in, and Jin Air, they didn't have the Sivir ult because they looked for it. They can't engage with this composition. That is not what this composition does. So they need to get in front of the dragon first and then try to take it and force the engage from Najin. So they eventually got it, but by that time they didn't have the Sivir ult anymore, and Pilot just isn't doing damage this game.
And they're not even going to get a turret off of the damage that Najin took or anything like that either.
No, definitely. Jin Air just a little bit confused. It's so weird because this is a composition that Jin Air is known for playing.
Yeah, but
this is what they want to play, or they've always wanted to play, and they
no GBM though, and that makes you wonder, you know, how much of the shot calling with this type of thing comes from him.
Well, also Jack, a major shot caller on this team.
Oh yeah,
that's for sure too.
That's a good point. So I would imagine, you know, if this doesn't work out with, like you said, you know, with this being such a common comp that Jin Air has success with in the past, you'd have to imagine they're going to do some roster swaps.
Yeah,
it's too late in the season to be experimenting more than a little bit, you know?
And I think you put Jack in.
Yeah,
you can leave Kuzan in. Kuzan's not having a bad game. He had some impressive Azir moves to actually zone out OQ in the last one.
Yeah, as long as you have some good shot calling.
Yeah, he was putting a lot of pressure onto the back lines, and his Azir mechanics have been very good.
Yeah. Yeah, he probably saved Jin Air from losing another person or two by keeping OQ so far away. I mean, he died, but could have been worse. Dragon either way, though, for Najin. They start to come back a bit.
Yep, just a little bit. And Yeah, they're just poking out right now. And Kuzan going to hop over the wall to avoid the death ray. A lot of turrets still left on the map right now.
Yeah, only 3 turrets down in 34 minutes. That's a little bit surprising.
Yeah, very low turret game. Been all about fighting around this dragon and fighting on the bottom side of the map.
Which is kind of similar to what we saw in this these two organizations last meeting. It was a lot of fighting. And it wasn't until, you know, those fights became catastrophic for one side that we really saw a lot of turrets go down.
So, yeah, the pilot finally going to start moving into that Infinity Edge. Maybe he'll be able to do damage after that, but Duke's starting to gear up for a Thorn Mail at this stage, and he's also nearly level 18. So he is getting quite scary.
Yeah.
And Najin just dialing up the pressure right now. They have control over all the side waves. They're doing a good job of it. Kuzan has been valiantly defending mid. There's still hardly any damage on either mid lane tier 1.
Well, I suppose we have 2 rather high wave clear mid laners with a lot of damage on them, so it's going to be tough to push forward in that lane anyway. Oh, Sivir ult activated, and immediately the culling goes down. Teleport coming in from behind Jinair. Watches right there. Nice 3-man ultimate. Che tries to get away, has to flash over the wall. Here comes Pure. If he can land a slicing Maelstrom, they might be able to get a kill, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen.
Chaser.
Whoa! Chaser goes in. I don't know about that. Gets a big kick. They get the ult out of Pure. Can they make something happen? A little bit of damage coming in from Kuzan over the wall. And Pure very low. Goong slowed down. Equalizer was used, but they didn't really have any follow-up. So, again, Jinair just looking a bit disjointed.
Well, Trace actually got a really good ult, and Chaser getting in there. They chunked everybody out so low that they're going to be able to take a tower off of this. So definitely not the worst thing in the world. Goong's going to attempt to respond since he still has HP and mana to push into the mid lane and try and chase Trace off. But he's not going to get much done here, even though he drops the Chaos Storm. So, you know, Jinair, they forced the TP out, so they're going to have TP advantage. They didn't commit when they saw the TP come in. They got themselves out of a sticky situation, and then Chaser goes back in, plays some interference, and they drop a very important equalizer that gets them a turret. So now they're going to have TP. That actually worked out pretty well from Jinair in terms of how they disengaged the fight and then re-engaged it. They definitely made the plays and got the objectives afterwards. So it could have been done better, but they did actually make the right calls.
Oh, we'll see if they can get the dragon as it comes up here. That'll be the next big moment in this game, and it's coming in 20 seconds, too. It's not too long. Jinair with not a ton of time to get set up for that one.
If I'm Jinair right now, I just start threatening Baron. You have control.
Like that's what they're doing.
You have control over the side waves. If they start to, you could see Najin is really scared that this could actually happen because they have TP.
Well, it could actually happen. There's a lot of damage from Jinair, too.
And Jinair right now, they just need to keep Najin wandering around in the middle of the map while that bottom wave develops and maybe get some damage onto the tier 2. No one from Najin can safely go clear that out at the moment without Jinair getting position on the dragon. So
that's a good point.
They're in a really good position, actually, surprisingly.
And Najin's going to activate that dragon anyway. Now, what's Jinair going to do? Are they just going to trade a mid lane for it? Or they're going to go for dragon, or Baron rather. They're rushing Baron at the moment. That bottom lane's still pushing too. And actually, Najin disengages from the dragon. They can't do it.
Jinair just giving Najin the runaround right now, and there's nothing that Najin could do to actually take this. Well, they're going to take that out. And there's a huge minion wave at the bottom side.
Whoa, Kuzan taking a lot of damage, though, getting majorly chunked out in mid, and that may cost him the turret and the dragon.
That was a mistake from Kuzan. Nice culling.
Yep.
Still no one there, and Kuzan going to have to recall right now. Big wave in top for Jinair, but they can go clear it because they have teleport.
They don't know that Kuzan recalled, too. They're still going to do the dragon, but
two-man dragon for Najin, so nice call, but it cost them a tier 2 turret. I mean, Jinair, under the circumstances, did okay, but Kuzan getting caught out with the culling was really the big thing in the mid lane. OQ landing that gave them the turret and the dragon instead of just the dragon, and it got them enough security and peace of mind by being able to shove up right to the tier 2.
Kuzan has been really good this game, but it's small things like that, kind of a little bit of a rookie error that might give Najin kind of an edge.
He had a weird recall timing, which forced Jin Air to kind of like walk up to the Baron, and it did work to delay Najin, but it could have been, if Najin had realized that Kuzan wasn't there, they would have just gone straight for the Dragon and not cared.
Of course, yeah.
So, not so sure about his recall in that particular instant, that point in time.
Well, Najin just hanging out in the mid lane. I mean, Jin Air still has a lot of control around the Baron.
Pilot finally does damage now.
Yeah, he's got his IE. Finally. All right, it's your turn there. Oh, ult used by Watch, but no follow-up for Najin just yet. A little bit of damage to Kuzan. And here comes Duke to zone out the entire team. He's very tanky. A lot of gold on Gung right now to be spent.
Yeah, gold is very even across the board. Oh, they found Watch there. Just going to do a little tussling. Watch, very tanky at this point in time, has the Veil and is working on the Randuins.
Yep. Chaser very tanky, so he can afford to jump in and do that kind of thing. They've got the Aegis as well now at this point.
Yeah, had to get it on the support after the Glory.
Right.
Not ideal, but at least they finally have one. Trace is slowly working his way up to Azonia's Hourglass. He really needs that item so that he can provide more frontline for Jin Air, because that is something that they're definitely lacking at the moment.
Now there's a big wave building up in bottom in favor of Najin. That side wave control has been lost a little bit by Jin Air.
Yep, they need to go deal with that, but they have to wait a while because they don't have any wards on the bottom side.
Yeah.
So naturally, Trace is going to be quite worried about heading down there by himself. So Najin just trying to delay as much as possible, make sure they can just continue to ward up around the Baron, maybe force a bait. That's what they should be looking for at the moment.
It makes sense. Najin does have the wards around Baron now as well, too.
Yeah, basically, we're just waiting for that bottom wave to do something. And so now Najin,
Trace.
If Trace goes out this far, Najin needs to think about collapsing on him.
He will kill that wave really fast, though, so you'd think he could probably get away.
He has the Liandry's, so
yeah,
that's going to be very useful.
Yeah, the wave's going to disappear extremely quickly.
But Najin not really doing anything with this point in time. Actually, in spite of their really good engage, they're not trying to make a play into the enemy jungle. Feel like there's a bit of a missed opportunity.
Yep, Trace is just going to recall immediately after taking out that wave, and he's still got that teleport to come in if he needs to. Looks like everybody recalling, just time to buy.
Zonia's complete. That is a huge buy for Trace here.
Yep, that's going to help a lot with the Baron fights that are going to be coming up.
Yeah, Pilot looks like he's going to be wanting to go Veil also, so just trying to deal with some of the engage from Evelyn and Maokai in case they manage to get flanks and get into the back line. That's going to be a really good buy for an AD carry in this game. It's like OQ heading the same route, but that's mostly just to eliminate some of the magic damage that's going to hit him because Equalizer exists.
Yep, he also doesn't want to get the Lee Sin Q on him to possibly set up for a insect kick. Najin threatening Baron, though. They're actually going to start it. Jin Air, Chaser was a little bit out of position. Here they come. Can Jin Air stop this Baron going down very, very slowly? That's right, there's a ward. Can they stop it? Najin gets the Baron. There's the Equalizer. Doesn't do really anything. And now Jin Air has to try to chase this down, but they just don't have the team to do that with. Culling used for just a moment by OQ. Actually, not used at all. Never mind.
Watch actually getting out, just on the barely on the range of vision, but Chaser was not there to even attempt to steal. There's the culling.
They're going to try to engage here. Pure almost there for the slicing. Maelstrom is going to flash in. Doesn't get a lot done with it. Kuzan over the wall. Pushes people back with the Emperor's Divide. Doing some decent damage. They're going to jump in onto Duke. Again, Chaser getting very low, taken out by Gung and that Chaos Storm. Jin Air going for the re-engage, but it just does not work. Wow, Kuzan nearly blown up by OQ as well, and this is almost certainly going to cost Jin Air a tier 2, if not more. Yeah,
just trying to re-engage right there without the Equalizer, very risky. And Jin Air, this is the problem with a composition like the one Jin Air runs. If the enemy, if you're playing a kite comp like this and they are the ones on Dragon or Baron, it's so hard to get in there to stop them.
Yeah, and they're going to lose an inhibitor because of this as well, too. Jin Air is starting to kind of fall apart now. And you have to wonder if Jin Air is going to be able to come back in this one. It's looking like Najin's game at this point.
Yeah, definitely is. Certainly is still very close in terms of gold for 44 minutes into this game, but
the leverage that Najin has on the map is hard to
They also
deny.
just have way better scaling, so it's going to be difficult, I think, to come back from this. Kuzan actually does a nice job of bouncing everybody and getting him in a corridor. And if you could imagine, if Equalizer was up right there, laying it down right after the Emperor's Divide would have been amazing. But
for the most part, Trace's equalizers haven't been very good this game.
he's had a couple good ones, but I mean, what was he supposed to do? He had to shoot it into the pit, otherwise it was guaranteed that Najin was going to be able to get the Dragon.
Yep,
Or get the Baron, rather, because Chaser was still running to the pit. It was a good call from Najin to start it at that time.
And Dragon number 3 now for Najin. And just going to go ahead and take another turret down in bot. Not a lot else to be said.
Jay using the glory, but not actually convincing OQ to stop culling or putting pressure on the turret. So it's just a prolonged siege right now as the siege minion shoots those purple cannonballs.
It's like righteous mediocrity.
Yeah.
Not really glorious. Kind of average. And the turret continues to take damage from that Baron-powered cannon minion. Here comes the next wave. There goes the turret. And Najin is just becoming this steamroller that Jin Air just kind of has to get out of the way of.
Yeah, and now Jin Air just going to be clearing out those waves just a little bit, but they can't quite get it down. Now the Baron's almost gone.
Yeah.
So they actually, this is smart. They don't want to commit too much to this. They may lose a tier 2 thanks to 2 cannon minion waves in the side lane. And Jin Air going to try and delay. They see Goong on the run. So they're going to prevent some people from leaving. And that's going to be another tier 2 just with the minion wave. Second time Jin Air has gotten one this game.
Yeah, not bad. What's surprising to me is that now they've gotten both tier 2s down in the top and bottom, but they still haven't gotten the mid lane tier 1 yet. It's a little bit surprising.
Well, there's been a lot of defense in the mid lane from Najin, and of course Victor's wave clear is excellent. But yes, this is looking quite good for Najin, but Jin Air has a chance now because there's no Baron or Dragon that they have to fight. They can just wait for their inhibitor to come back up, and they'll be ready to fight again at another objective. Yes, it's not looking good. Yes, they are going to get outscaled, but that doesn't necessarily mean they can't find that good team fighter, that good pick. Trace has, Duke's been a little bit late this game, and if they can abuse that and find a 5v4, so considering that Trace has been more on the money when it comes to using the teleport and showing up at the right time for team fights, could go their way.
Well, yeah, I mean, if Goong or OQ gets caught, that fight could be won very quickly for Jin Air, and then they could very quickly take a couple turrets out of it. Or maybe Baron. Who knows?
I like how OQ is 6 items in this game as a 0, 2, and 1 Lucian.
It's a lot of gold.
In spite of dominating that laning phase and looking good in team fights, and also using that culling at very key moments. Yeah, his cullings, while they haven't gotten kills, they've gotten a lot of towers by pushing people off.
Right. Well, Kuzan especially can tell you how that feels. He's got his Zonias now, so Jin Air can maybe be a little bit more aggressive, which I feel like they kind of need to be right now. They need to...
Jin Air just trying to set up a death brush. They have a few wards in.
Yeah.
You're going to see Watch popping some down. They were hoping that there might be a siege onto the tier 2, so they were allowing this minion wave to develop. They may go back up there and try again. We'll see if Najin falls for the bait. They don't know. They should strongly suspect this is going on, but they don't know. And Najin's like, well, we're not going to walk up there right now. We have a minion wave. Just push in the mid lane.
Yep, why not?
All right, now they're pinging that turret, but Jin Air's already fallen back.
And they could try to push that bottom inhibitor, too, at some point. Because right now the wave is pushing in favor of Najin. Looks like they'll be able to get this tier 2 unless Jin Air does something drastic right here. Nope.
Watch is just so tanky, able to get there a little bit early, tank the turret while they waited for the minion wave, and then back off. So another tier 2 in favor of Najin. Remember, they're only 5k gold up. This is technically still a winnable game for Jin Air, even if it is very unlikely.
They just need that perfect team fight. And they've certainly gotten practice this game, but they need Trace to have a really amazing equalizer. I think that's kind of the heart of it.
Yeah, there is an issue that Najin did take the Baron and the Dragon very close together. So Jin Air may be able to squeak out with something if they get lucky and they can delay the Dragon long, or the Baron long enough for the Dragon to spawn. They have to try something like that at the very least. And they don't have any wards really in their top side. So there's a lot of fog of war for Najin to play with. Duke is absolutely massive at the moment.
It's going to be very, very hard to kill, to say the least. And now, finally, the Tier 1 mid. Will it go down? Watch coming in for the engage. He gets all over Pilot. There's the ultimate. Hits 3 people. That's a good equalizer. Trace comes in. Can he do enough, though? Pure got some damage on with the slicing Maelstrom. There goes Nautilus immediately. And now they're getting in on the backlines. Trace pops his Zonias. Pretty good wall setup, but it doesn't stop Pilot from getting taken down. And it looks like Jin Air's going to lose this team fight. Whoa, OQ going deep. He's going OQ. He's got the double kill, and it looks like he's going to be able to grab the triple as well. There it is. Meanwhile, another one for Goong, and that is an ace, and that should be the game with the death timers.
Beautiful Lucian play from OQ, but the real hero of this game is Duke. Duke got to the point where Jin Air's composition just doesn't have enough damage to kill a 6-item Maokai. He is so tanky, and he took nearly no damage in that engagement. And OQ playing much more reserved until he knows it's time to strike and moves forward through the team fight for a triple.
He did. Triple kill, and there goes the Nexus. Najin not going to get 2-0 this time. GG.
Very nice play from OQ. And even though he didn't even have any kills up until that point in the game, his lane dominance was really what caused Najin to get control of the pace of the game right at the beginning.
Yeah.
And he kept up there in terms of damage, got the critical cullings that allowed his team to take more turrets. And Najin looking quite good that game overall. Did have some mistakes with Duke's teleports, but we've come to expect that about Najin. Now, Jin Air, that was a composition that they should have had been very comfortable playing, but they really dropped the ball on execution. Uncharacteristic